Feeling overwhelmed by shipping complexities and industry jargon? ProShip ParcelCast Unwined is here to help. Join us as we unwind with industry experts, break down complex topics, and make shipping enjoyable with a cocktail in hand. Learn about the latest trends in technology, navigate carrier changes, and gain valuable insights from the pros. ProShip ParcelCast Unwind. It's your one-stop shop for simplifying logistics, one sip at a time. Brought to you by ProShip, the last shipping software you'll ever need. Now, ready to help you ship smarter, not harder, here's your host, Jerry Dixon.
Welcome back to another episode of ProShip ParcelCast Unwind. Spend smarter, ship smarter. Parcel Spend Management 2.0. Today, we will go inside the world of parcel spend management, but not just the basics. We will explore in depth with folks who know all about it. We're talking about Parcel Spend Management 2.0, a revolutionary approach that's transforming the way businesses optimize their shipping operations. Joining us are Michael Falls, our very good friend from Reveal, and Will Hennessy, one of our favorite people from ProShip. Let's get started. Michael and Will you please introduce yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jerry. And thank you to the entire ProShip team for having me on the ParcelCast. I've enjoyed listening over the years to many leaders participate in your discussion. So really pleased to be joining you for an episode. I'm Vice President of Client Success at Reveal, which is a parcel shipping intelligence software solution. So my team is responsible for supporting our customers who leverage Reveal's AI and machine learning powered parcel spend management solution to reduce their costs, to optimize their transit performance, and to automate their manual workflows. Prior to Reveal, I spent a decade in more of the traditional freight audit and payment space at a company called Envista, where I led client operations, and that's where I first started working in partnership with ProShip prior to that solution at Envista being acquired. So decided at that point I really wanted to move away from kind of the managed service provider space and really get involved in the forefront of AI and machine learning based technology where our industry is moving. And so that's why I joined Reveal in 2023. I live in Indianapolis, Indiana with my wife and with our two elementary aged kids and puppy.
Perfect. Hey y'all, Will Hennessy, glad to be back for a second time. Thank you, Jerry. Happy to be in the Two-Timers Club. Hopefully can make it to the Three-Timers Club in the next year. I'm an enterprise sales executive here with the ProShip team, mainly working with a lot of our larger retailers, manufacturers, 3PLs, really figuring where we can assist with optimizing and enhancing the rate shopping capabilities that they have today. Based in the Atlanta metro area with my wife, our 8-month-old, and then our English bulldog. So very excited for today's conversation, and thanks for having us, Jerry.
And the English bulldog, you cannot forget the dogs. Do you all have any dogs or cats, Michael?
I do. I have a puppy, but he's a mix of 7 different things, so I couldn't rattle them all off to you.
All right. Those are
favors the pit bull, though. If you saw him, you'd say pit bull.
Okay. They're beautiful. Okay, so as you have probably already figured out, today is our cocktail mocktail segment. And just as data-driven insights are essential for optimizing your parcel shipping strategy, a well-crafted cocktail requires the perfect balance of ingredients. Introducing the data-driven Paloma, a refreshing twist on the classic Paloma that celebrates the power of precision and analysis. The data-driven Paloma is a refreshing blend of grapefruit juice, tequila, and simple syrup. Just like a successful shipping strategy requires balance, this cocktail perfectly combines flavors for a truly satisfying experience. And for those that are wondering, the ingredients are Cristalino tequila, Owens Rio red grapefruit mixer, black lava salt with a grapefruit garnish. And if you hear the word parcel, take a sip. Just kidding. Thank you for joining us, both of you, and cheers.
Cheers.
Go ahead and take this thing off for it.
That black lava salt, phenomenal.
That's pretty good. That's really good. Hey, I mean, shout out to the ProShip team for supplying some delicious cocktail ingredients for this ParcelCast. Definitely a perk.
Thank you.
Katie and Evan, can't live without them.
By the way, the Paloma is my mother's favorite cocktail. So you didn't know that, but you picked a drink that's very personally nostalgic for me. So Great choice.
What is your mom's name?
Her name's Sabrina.
Here's to you, Sabrina.
Sabrina, cheers.
Okay, that's delicious. Thanks, guys. That was a good pick. All right. According to Cognitive Market Research, North America emerges as the fastest growing region globally for parcel shipments. With a substantial 30% market share, North America anticipates a significant $4 billion market size by 2030. With increased shipping costs, shippers are looking to reduce their parcel spend. So Michael, can you start by defining Parcel Spend Management 2.0?
Yeah. So Parcel Spend Management 2.0 or PSM 2.0, probably a term that much of your audience is not familiar with, although it will feel familiar if your audience is familiar with Parcel Spend Management, right? Which is a pretty well ingrained discipline in the space. But I'll start by saying this, right? PSM 2.0 is called 2.0 because it's a game changer, right? And it's the field that Reveal is in. We actually just had our client advisory board meeting in person at last month's Parcel Forum event down in Dallas. And the feedback that we heard consistently from our clients in that meeting was this solution has been an absolute game changer for us. And for your audience here, if you've worked with a standard kind of managed service provider that has some technology, so kind of a typical parcel spend management solution that's delivered with analysts and consultants, you typically don't hear that word, right, of game changer. So why do I say PSM 2.0 is a game changer? Why do I start there? Well, like you said, Jerry, right? I mean, cost containment is one of the top priorities, if not the top priority for every shipper. And so shippers are looking for a secret weapon that they can use to attack that strategy. I'll give you another number, right? Parcel shipping costs have actually increased 30% over the last 3 years. Most shippers don't know that. And they don't know that because there's actually a lack of transparency around how that happens. Because every year the carriers will announce a general rate increase, and this year was actually just announced by both carriers over the course of the last few weeks, 5.9% the average rate increase that was announced. Reveal has done macro level analysis, and we know that because the average is not what most shippers actually take in terms of GRI, they're actually impacted at the surcharge and the service level that fits their transportation profile. We know that the actual average impact is 8%, right? And so when 8% compounds every year for 3 years, you're looking at a 30% overall impact over the last 3 years, right? And so when that's the type of impact that shippers are being hit with, shippers are trying to understand, hey, how do I get transparency into my costs? And then what can I do about my costs in a very practical way without relying on consultants and analysts that are being hired from a third party? They want the tools in their hands to really take action. And that's what PSM 2.0 or Parcel Spend Management 2.0 delivers. And it delivers it through AI and machine learning based technology as opposed to through consulting and analysts.
Interesting. We're going to delve into that in just a little bit. Will, from your perspective, how does PSM 2.0 differ from traditional parcel management?
Yeah, I think the biggest change from kind of the legacy format is really the innovation and then just the involvement of technology. I mean, when we think about kind of where the industry has been, it's working out of Excel sheets, it's carrier invoices every 2 weeks or a month, it's using more of like those actual carrier codes to do the invoice audit. That's good, and it's got us to where we're at today, but I don't think it's going to get us to where we need to go and where customers are looking and shippers are looking to move forward to be able to better leverage technology in their own hands to be more self-service rather than always have to come to a third party, an analyst, to go and do that type of analysis that they need, and also make the insights in real time so that they can make decisions on a daily, a weekly basis rather than once a year, which is kind of where a lot of people have been previously. So it's just being a lot more dynamic and agile with leveraging the data that they already have. They just haven't been able to use it and leverage it in a meaningful way.
Okay. So Michael, would it be true to say that PSM 1.0 was a more reactive and manual approach, and PSM 2.0 is a more anticipatory and transparent approach?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Transparency actually is it's the number one core value we have at Reveal, and it's something we seek to deliver, in our own work culture, but also through our technology to shippers. We want to give shippers transparent tools that help them level the playing field with their carrier partners. And so, you know, when I look at actually what's going on throughout the industry and really, you know, kind of what shippers need, I think about actually, you know, the report that ProShip actually published over the last week, the Parcel Industry Study, which is a great report. And one of the things that you said in the report from your customer survey is that, you know, while cost reduction is certainly a top priority, there are also things like transit performance, you know, to serve end customers, and then also automation around workflow that are also really critical. And so it's really important in the parcel spend management discipline that the solutions be anticipatory and transparent around a holistic solution, right? So cost reduction, transit performance, and automation. And so that's why really at Reveal, we've decided, hey, the hill we're going to die on as a company is going to be focused on what gives the most real-time transparency to our customers, and that's through modeling and simulation. And so really that's where, you know, if you think about PSM 2.0, what makes it different? It's really around building modeling and simulation based tools that enable those outcomes I described for customers, right? Reduce costs, improve transit performance, and improve automation in their workflows.
Speaking of data-driven insights, with peak season approaching and GRIs released and just over the horizon, tell us how businesses can manage their parcel shipping costs to ensure a smooth holiday season.
Well, you know, the number one thing I'd say is shippers have to be focused on the right KPIs. At Reveal, we call our KPIs vital factors, right? Because the idea is what are those KPIs that are most vital to understand that you really need to focus on to move the needle in your business. And so for peak season, for the GRI, and really throughout the year, right, you've got to be focused on the right metrics. And I think a lot of times shippers can lose sight of that. So there are 8, right? I'll rattle them off. It's service spend, surcharge spend, cost per shipment, minimum charges, shipment weight, average zone, carrier performance, and time in transit, right? You want to have your finger on the pulse of each one of those. And then you want to go through kind of a loop of measuring, optimizing, monitoring, and planning, right? Continually going through that loop. You've got to measure what matters. You've got to figure out, okay, when my metrics aren't where we plan for them to be, how do we optimize them, right? And I can talk a little bit more about how our technology enables optimization, but you measure, you figure out where the optimization opportunities are, you monitor to ensure that your optimization is working, and plan for the future, right? And so right now we're heavily in that the planning phase, right? We're planning for peak, ensuring it's successful. We're planning for next year with the GRI, right? And then it's going to be really important that we measure the right things as the peak season as peak season occurs, and then as next year the GRI takes effect, so that then we can figure out, all right, how do we optimize for the future?
Could you possibly share a specific example of how a business has used data-driven insights to achieve those cost savings or improve efficiencies?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think what's so exciting about the world of modeling and simulation, especially in a discipline as complex as, you know, the world of parcel, is there are so many, you know, what we would call actionable insights that machine learning can deliver for customers, right? And so really transforming really complex data into those actionable insights. There are so many examples. So I'll share a few of those, and then I can give you a very specific customer example. But when we talk about what machine learning can do, right? You know, one example would be identifying surcharges that are completely avoidable, right? So maybe that's unauthorized and oversized fees that are being introduced into the network because there's lack of transparency into the box sizes that are being used, right? Maybe that's detecting late fees because of process breakdowns in accounts payable with a payment vendor. Maybe that's recurring address corrections where you have address correction fees being assessed to the same address over and over because there isn't transparency into the address being incorrect in a system of record. So those types of avoidable surcharges are one category. Another category would be service level optimization, right? Understanding what service mix is actually best suited to your customer base as opposed to the service mix that you're using, right? And I think there's a lot of synergies between what Reveal identifies through our PSM solution and what ProShip optimizes on the front end with service level optimization. But, you know, just understanding those simple things like, hey, where could we have shipped ground instead of air, would have arrived in the same amount of time at much lower cost? or where are we using maybe early AM service so that shipment can arrive very, very early when you know what, the customer didn't really need it until noon or later in the day. So those are the types of things where, again, an analyst can look at data retroactively and identify some of those things, but if you have simulation identifying those insights in real time and delivering those insights in real time to shippers, they can action them much more quickly. They can also detect outliers in their data over time so that they can identify new trends as they're occurring. So those are kind of some of the categories, right, of what modeling and simulation can do. A very specific customer example that I'd give you would be for a shipper, an e-commerce shipper in the retail space, apparel shipper, have a large shoe inventory, and our technology actually identified a service level optimization opportunity for them, similar to what I just described, downgrading packages from air to ground. And the save opportunity was about $2 million per year. Okay. Now the challenge for this shipper was they have a 6 nodal network, right? So they have 6 distribution centers, and they were trying to kind of prioritize, okay, which distribution center do we focus on first to optimize our service level mix? Well, the number caught the attention of the CEO, right? Said, hey, if we have a $2 million opportunity, we got to make this an executive level priority. And so leveraging our technology, we were able to identify, okay, there's one fulfillment center with 50% of the impact, right? So let's check that $1 million off the list and implement the service level optimization there first. And then let's go one by one through the remaining fulfillment centers, knock them out and realize all of the savings, right? So through our machine learning algorithms and our PSM 2.0 technology, we were able to assist with a project that, you know, frankly, you could have engaged a consulting firm on for 6 months or a year and still probably arrived at a suboptimal outcome.
Wow.
I think that's so cool. Just for looking through one avenue of just service level optimization of finding areas of $2 million of parcel spend savings. Like, that's incredible. And obviously there's even more avenues and kind of levers to pull just from data, and as like you're just that process, just always fine tuning, always optimizing. Like, there's never a finish line. It always keeps moving, keeps going past as carriers keep changing, as onboarding new carriers and everything like that too. So no, I think that's a great example of just one little change in optimization can have such a big financial impact on a company's budget and spend, which is so cool.
That's right, Will. And parcel shipping can be complex. Sometimes it can be extremely complex. There are often many factors to consider. How can advanced features like you were just talking about help businesses navigate those crazy, complexity factors? Will?
Yeah, so I think one area that Reveal has that caught my eye when I was doing my research into it is the contract modeling and simulation analysis. Basically, as part of carrier RFPs, as they give you different agreements through your different negotiations, you can model basically import the agreement into Reveal's tool, and then based off the AI and machine learning, they can go in and do a side-by-side agreement of carrier A to carrier B and see where there's big differences, what are potential savings areas, where are areas of opportunity to further enhance and improve your negotiation with them based off of kind of where you stand in the market compared to some of your peers. I just think it's such an easy way where you can have that, basically you can have those insights within 24 or 48 hours rather than weeks and weeks on end of going through different rounds of carrier negotiations. Just being able to digest that in such a nice, easy way and compare apples to apples is really remarkable and can really help shake up this market to just provide better transparency and visibility across carriers.
Yeah, Will, I mean, that's such a game-changing feature for shippers. When I started off and I said, hey, what is PSM? PSM is a game changer. Parcel Spend Management 2.0 is a game changer. I mean, it's exactly what you said, right? In the past, there's been a total lack of transparency to, hey, if my rates are X and I get a proposal from a carrier, are those good rates, right? How does this impact me at a surcharge level? What's the impact going to be, right? Only consultants had that toolkit, right? There had never been a toolkit that was made available to shippers in the marketplace to self-serve and do their own analyses there, right? And then have those sorts of even predictive insights based on changes in their profile. So Reveal was really the first to introduce a tool like that. And Will, from where you sit, a little further upstream of the process at ProShip, right? It's really exciting to hear kind of your feedback on how that's changing the game for shippers as well. I think beyond what Will said, I heard a little bit about the actionable insights, right? So those certainly navigate through some of the complexity to help shippers just understand. You could think of it maybe as low-hanging fruit to a certain extent, right? Where are those areas that I can just kind of nip in the bud and really improve my outcomes, both in terms of cost and transit performance? Another area is with outlier detection, right? So the idea that, hey, machines are infinitely better at identifying changes, right? Anomalies in especially large data sets. I think, Will, you earlier made a point, and I'll kind of consolidate it by saying, sometimes shippers are what we would call data rich, but information poor, right? The amount of data associated with parcel shipping is so enormous, right? That people are really good at some things, right? And automation can sometimes be scary, but the reality is that what machines are really good at is detecting things like anomalies, right? And then providing those insights to humans so that we can do something about it, right? And so anomaly outlier detection is another thing. And the last thing that I'll kind of add, and I'll accompany this with a customer example, is what we would call agreement monitoring. Okay, so agreement monitoring is this idea that there's complexity within a shipper's carrier agreements, and one of those might be negotiated revenue tiers, right? The idea that you have to give a certain amount of volume or revenue to a carrier in order to maintain certain discount levels in your contract. And we had a customer recently, and this is actually the exact same customer from the example I just shared in our last question. So what I want you to see here is kind of the compounding impact of PSM 2.0, right? So exact same customer, just prior to working with Reveal, was working with a consultant on developing a network strategy. And this consultant was really pushing them to develop a network strategy that included a couple of additional carriers, which generally not a bad idea. But what they were failing to account for in their analysis of what packages should be given to each of these additional carriers, they were neglecting to analyze for what the impact would be to the shipper's revenue tier bands with UPS. And so thank goodness this customer was actually going through a sales proof of concept with Reveal at the same time. We do a POC with all of our customers, leveraging their data, running it through our technology models. And what they could see is, oh my gosh, we are currently at risk of falling out of our current revenue tier with UPS. If we were to move this volume that this consultant is telling us to move, it's going to cost us actually $6 million in additional costs with UPS, right? Because of the change in discounts, right? Which wasn't being accounted for in this analysis. And so again, this agreement monitoring piece, helping shippers understand, hey, if you do X with your spend, it's going to have this impact on your revenue tiers. That makes a big difference. It also makes a big difference to understand through technology where are certain maybe terms within a negotiated agreement expiring, so that you can stay on top of those in real time through alerts, as opposed to having to manage the complexity and the nuances of your carrier agreements, manually. So those are a couple of additional examples of how the technology can help shippers kind of cut through the complexity.
Yeah, and I love that last. Or just a second, Jerry.
Oh, go ahead, Will.
No, I was gonna say I love the last point about the agreement monitoring, just because then from the ProShip world that gets into our whole concept of carrier volume balancing, of really helping to make sure customers and shippers meet those minimum thresholds to meet their ideal tier. And so I just love that it's like that partnership of you guys tracking on your side, and then from the actual shipment execution side, having the same information to be able to balance between the two to make sure customers don't miss out or overspend by $6 million in parcel spend. That would not be ideal.
As a former SAE for UPS, you would be a thorn in my side, I think.
It's all partnership in support of our mutual customer, the shipper.
That's nice. Okay. Will, tell us how these advanced features complement the shipping software platform.
Yeah, so I think it's just an ever-changing and ever-growing kind of feedback loop. So from like a workflow process, shipment obviously is processed through a platform like ProShip, get the label, carrier or shipment goes out the door, carrier invoices shipper, and then obviously Reveal can do their analysis on the actual shipment, charges, everything like that. But I think it's really that feedback loop where it becomes much clearer and where there's a lot of room for opportunity is in real time, like a ProShip, we can pass information to Reveal so that same day they have all the information, so they can do time and transfer performance, they can do line item detail into all the different accessorial fees that the carrier charges to see if there is any type of discrepancy. But then also, as that's more traditional parcel spend, but then also fine tuning rate shopping. So if you're having specifically bad service levels to different geos or parts of the country with specific carriers, taking that out of rate shop groups or adding more days, adding more rate shop groups for like less than a pound, specific zones, things like that. It's just always that information of data back and forth from the shipping platform to the Parcel Spend Management platform, back and forth, just always fine tuning that rate shopping algorithm as carriers are making changes to make sure that the shipper is always ahead of where the carriers are trying to go.
Yeah, no, those are all really great insights. I mean, to us, that closed loop of planned versus actual is really exciting, right? This is something that shippers typically lack visibility to, and it's something that an integration between multi-carrier shipment execution software like ProShip and a Parcel Spend Management 2.0 solution like Reveal can really close a gap, right? That shippers, I think, have craved to be closed for a long time, but the technology just really hasn't existed. But Will, like you said, right, there's the opportunity now for shippers to say, hey, I shipped packages with this expectation around my weights, my box sizes, my service levels, all of those vital factors and KPIs that we talked about earlier. I thought I was going to get hit with X surcharges, but then when I got billed, here's what it turned out my actuals are, right? So plan versus actual. And so there's a huge opportunity for optimization there. There's also a huge opportunity to identify errors and waste in the process, right? If there are errors by the carrier weighing the packages or dimming the boxes, right? Those things can happen, right? Where there's not necessarily visibility to that on the front end at the time that the label's generated, right? But there's visibility in the PSM 2.0 solution because we integrate the planned data, and we could say, wait a minute, the dimensions that the carrier provided are not what we expected at the time of manifest, right? And so that closed loop's really exciting. It's also just exciting to get access to more data, right? Because in the ProShip world, right, you have access to different data than we at Reveal have access to via the carrier billing data, right? I mean, if we're getting data from UPS, FedEx, OnTrack, Postal Service, DHL, go down the list, there's some data that they don't necessarily have, maybe around the sales order and what's in the box, the items, all of those different types of things, right? So having more data enables more robust reporting and analytics for shippers. And then it also, to go back to the earlier point around workflow automation, it also can help you automate some things like accruals for finance teams. If you're not in the finance world, the word accrual probably doesn't mean a lot to you, but really complex process that finance teams typically have pain points around, where if you have an integration from the front end to the back end within your shipping system, you can automate some of those really complex manual processes, because now you have full end-to-end visibility around your shipping costs. So those are some additional insights.
It sounds like it would also assist with sustainability efforts as well.
It certainly can. It can in a lot of ways, right? And there's, the kind of discipline continues to evolve around how do we measure sustainability, how do we measure carbon footprint, right? So there are just some very practical ways that having access to great data, the type of data we're talking about, you can measure those things in new ways. But I think beyond measuring, the reality exists that actually sometimes sustainability and profitability can coexist, and that point is often lost, right? But when I talk about service level optimization, for example, right, so eliminating express or air shipments in favor of ground shipments that could have arrived in the same amount of time or even faster, right, there's a cost benefit, sometimes a tremendous cost benefit, like the $2 million I talked about with our customer. There's also a sustainability benefit, right, and that benefit can actually be measured, right? So I think I actually saw this in the ProShip industry study as well, that I think 80% of end customers are okay actually having their packages delayed in favor of sustainable practices. And it's really exciting that I think the end customers want to do the right thing, but actually sometimes you can delight your customers with the same transit expectations or faster and save money in the process, right? Save money either for your business or for your end customer or both. And so to me, that's the exciting thing about PSM 2.0 is it can enable both of those outcomes at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because I think they've always been like two ends of the spectrum. Nobody's ever really thought of them as really complementary pieces to the puzzle of kind of corporate strategy moving forward. But I mean, whether that's using carbon neutral service levels, using like electric vehicle carriers or carriers that leverage electric vehicles as well to kind of reduce carbon footprint emissions. I mean, I think that there's a big push ultimately and it'll have to come from the end consumers. Do we need it as soon as we can, or can it wait an extra day or two and be there in a much more sustainable way? I think that will ultimately drive shippers in the direction that they need to go by demanding that from them, which will be cool.
You both make very valid points, and I'm going to ask you both, looking ahead, what do you see as the future of Parcel Spend Management 2.0? Michael, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the future is it's more advanced modeling and simulation, right? I mean, categorically, AI-based, machine learning-based modeling and simulation. We're going to continue to leverage this advanced technology, but we're going to use it to solve new problems and more complex problems, right? And so, for example, shippers today, right? If you talk to any director or VP of supply chain or logistics, every single one of them has an email sitting in their inbox every morning from a new carrier or 3PL or service provider, right? Who's promising new rates, better service. Maybe it's region specific. There are so many options out there, and it's so challenging to, kind of figure out for shippers, all right, what really is going to be the right option? What's going to save me money? What's going to help my transit performance? And, these are the types of problems that PSM 2.0 can solve in new ways as our modeling and simulation becomes more advanced, because we're going to be able to take data and actually actuals, right? So we're going to be able to predict, okay, hey, maybe you actually should use this new niche player in this region because their on-time performance actuals are through the roof, right? They can deliver at the cost that they're giving you with transparency. There aren't additional surcharges, and it's not going to impact your revenue tiers with, UPS, for example, right? And so, again, very complex analysis can be actually solved very quickly using advanced modeling and simulation. So those are the types of things I think we'll solve. And I could go down the list, but if I went down the list, we'd be giving away our product roadmap. So we're going to keep some things private for now until we release them to the market.
What do you think, Will?
I do. I think from a future perspective, I think, I'll just subtly plug our ProShip report from our great marketing team. Half of our customers, their biggest challenge is cost control. This is not going anywhere. And especially as carriers are struggling from a financial perspective with different labor agreements, soft demand, and also just a lot more competition in the market. This is a huge opportunity for customers to realize savings that they've never realized before. And I think a big part of that too, internally at different organizations, is becoming a much larger movement across different C-levels. Obviously, I think traditionally it's been more so just logistics, supply chain kind of focused solely on that part of an organization. But I think now you're seeing CFOs become more involved, like head of customer experience as it gets into data visibility for like their end customers from tracking perspective, as well as like CIOs from just data as well. I think there's a lot more movement and a lot more of, I guess, focus across much more or a lot of different organizations and departments to focus on shipping, as it has been such a major cost across them for so long. And I think looking for better ways to model and simulate and improve that will make them a lot more profitable and even more sustainable and higher and better performing moving forward.
Well, that's such a great point. Yeah, you talk about kind of the cross-functional nature of how organizations operate today in regards to leveraging shipping as a strategy, right, within their organization to actually not just contain costs, but to delight the end customer, right? I mean, it's really the it's really the last step in the customer journey, right? Is package delivery. And you know, when I got into the world of supply chain back in 2014, you know, supply chain was not viewed as a strategic discipline, right? It was viewed as a necessary operation. It was viewed as a cost center. But very few organizations saw supply chain operations as strategic, right? And now supply chain operations are understood to be as strategic as any component of an organization, right? And so I think you're right, Will, that the companies who have the best toolkits to leverage cross-functionally across customer service, across supply chain ops, across finance, across their executive teams, those are the companies that are going to have a secret weapon that allows them to thrive, right, and to beat the competition. And so PSM 2.0 is very much a part of that, right, as a critical secret weapon for shippers.
Yeah, I mean, I really do think it is a competitive edge across like your different competitors in the marketplace to be able to leverage your data and get information real time that they might not have. I think it's a big advantage for people to take into account moving forward that maybe they haven't been able to previously. So no, excited to see kind of where it goes, even future stints of. I'll just be watching the Reveal LinkedIn page for new product launches and the strategy, but excited to see where it goes.
We're going to have one on October 30th.
Ooh, a little, wow, pre-Halloween little surprise. I'm interested.
Pre-Halloween, yeah. It gets real bright before it gets real scary. So we're excited. That's not, by the way, that's not a marketing line we're using. That was my attempt at a quick catchphrase there. But no, we have. I mean, that's the thing, right? In our world, right, we're releasing new product features all the time because technology continues to advance and we have opportunities to solve new problems for our customers, right? So we're excited about sharing those with the market and working with shippers to implement new solutions.
Good stuff. Okay, we're going to play a little game called This or That. And I'm going to ask you 3 questions that are fun, and then I'm going to ask you 3 questions that are topic related. So number 1, Will, you go first on this one. Would you rather be able to live forever or be able to travel to any place in the world instantly?
Travel to any place in the world instantly. I think that would be so fun just to be able drop of a dime, go to London, drop of a dime, go to Australia, go to all these. I think that would be so incredible. Just because obviously going to places that are foreign from the US, it just takes a lot of time and planning. So to be able to like drop of a hat on a Friday afternoon, go there for the weekend would be awesome.
Michael?
Yeah, so I did not pre-screen these questions, and I tend to be a person who thinks through things deeply. So I'm just gonna go with my blink responses here. I'm gonna agree with Will. We're gonna travel any place in the world instantly, especially as I have kids. I'm gonna say I get to bring my kids with me, right? I want to be able to share those experiences with them. So
that magic is hereditary, so they get to go too. Okay, would you rather have a perfectly brewed IPA or a 100-year-old vintage Scotch? I'll take the beer.
I would take the perfectly crafted IPA. Don't tell my father-in-law, who is a Scotch connoisseur, but it just doesn't do it for me. I'll just take the beer. Nice summer day in Georgia. I'm good.
well, Will and I are going to differ on this one. I'm going with the Scotch, no doubt.
Going with the Scotch. What kind of
enjoy
Scotch?
the finer things in life. Although if I had to choose between the 3, I'd go with the ProShip cocktail. So
Okay.
record.
Okay, would you rather be able to cook any dish perfectly or be able to grow any plant? Michael?
I would rather cook any dish perfectly. As I've gotten older, I've come to appreciate the art of cooking, and it's an area I would like to continue to grow in.
Noted.
I don't have a green thumb, so and I don't think I'm ever going to have a green thumb. So yeah, cook any dish perfectly.
I am team cooking. I love to eat. I make like 10 things and that's about it. So I would love to be able to just pull up a recipe, make it perfect dish. And my wife would also love it because I know she shoulders a lot of the cooking burden during the week. So I would love that.
Buy cookbooks for Christmas. Okay, got it. Same. All right, so topic related. Would you rather focus on optimizing your shipping network or improving your carrier relationships? I mean, if you improve your carrier relationships, you might optimize your shipping network. What do you think?
Wow, that's a really tough
It's just me.
question. Yeah, I mean, you can't have it this way or that, but what is more important? I think it's more important to build strong relationships with your vendors. As we spent the entire conversation talking about technology, but at the end of the day, this is a business built on relationships. People work with people they know and people they trust, and building trusting relationships allows you to move quickly, speed of trust, right? And so at the end of the day, I think getting those carrier relationships right will have a really big impact on your ability to deliver on your organizational objectives. You can figure out the optimization from there.
You agree,
I'll go
right?
the other side of the coin.
Oh, he
No, I'll
doesn't.
say I'll optimize shipping network just to play devil's advocate. But then also I think carrier relationships are obviously you cannot have one or the other. It needs to be both. But I do think optimizing shipping network, especially, I think that might bring more immediate day one kind of short-term savings. But I think long-term carrier relationships is definitely the more strategic play to provide just overall cost savings as well.
Okay, one last one. Would you rather be able to forecast demand fluctuations with pinpoint accuracy for the next 5 years, or be able to predict every future GRI for the next 5 years?
I would love to forecast demand fluctuations. That is just something that I've just always been very fascinated at, just supply and demand perspective. And obviously, pre-COVID, there has been a lot of very drastic fluctuations in demand from customers, and that's obviously been a large issue on balance sheets of just having wrong and too much inventory. So I would love to be able to have that pinpoint accuracy for the next 5 years. I think that would be just a really cool piece of information to have.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about what our customers would say in response to that question, I think they would agree with Will. And part of that is that at the end of the day, the GRI is what the GRI is going to be, and it'll have a different impact on every shipper. But you can do something about the GRI, right? You, as a shipper, you can control your own destiny with how the GRI plays out, because you have options. You have carrier options. You have options to negotiate with your carrier if you have the right data. You can act proactively. You can make changes to your strategy. You can leverage a PSM 2.0 solution to optimize within your spend. And so you can control, I think, your own destiny regardless of what the GRI announcements are. So I think understanding demand fluctuations would be much more powerful. I think that's how our customers would answer the question, at least.
Agreed, 100%. Okay, before we wrap up, we're going to leave some final thoughts and just a little something to leave with our listeners today. The one that I'm going to leave is for all the shippers out there. Absolutely contact Reveal. Get ahead of your parcel spend and manage it. And also make sure that you have monthly meetings with your carrier account executives. It's super important for you to have a tight relationship with them, because I know they really do want to help you. It's not all about the commission check, even if they get one more, I don't know. But anyway, Will, what would you like to leave our listeners with? And then we'll wrap it up with Michael.
I would say if you don't do any type of parcel spend management, definitely call Michael up. It's a huge opportunity for you guys, but I think also just the more that shippers can, one, have access to data, and then two, use it in a smart way, I think it's just really going to help move this industry forward. One, just making sure that they make smart decisions, but then also two, making sure that they add carriers that make sense. I think from our side, like, we've seen a big push from carrier or customers that had 7 carriers back in 2020, 2021 to now about 4 across our customer base. It's really just using the data to make better decisions and rationalizing, does it make sense does it not make sense for all those different emails that pop up in director of logistics, director of supply chains emails boxes when they open up in the morning. So I think the more tools that they can have in their toolkit and the more levers to pull, the better that they will be that they will be in the future.
Michael?
Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for having me be part of the discussion today. I hope it's been insightful for the audience. It certainly has been for me. I think, listen, at the end of the day, it comes back to the priorities of the shipper, right? It's reducing costs, it's optimizing transit performance to better delight your customers, and then it's making your workflows as effective and efficient as possible, right? Work smarter, not harder, right? Every shipper is after those three. And there are a lot of good solutions. Some of them are people driven, some of them are tech driven, some of them are a combination of both. Obviously, Reveal's solution is much more tech driven than most of the solutions kind of in the parcel spend management space. But my reason for advocating for PSM 2.0 is it really gives shippers the opportunity to get better, more robust insights in real time. And the reality is, we're at a place where we're not dreaming about doing that anymore. We're at a place where shippers can actually have that, right? And so I think for shippers who are interested in understanding what does that even look like, what does that look like with my data, let's have a conversation about that and see if PSM 2.0 is the right fit for you.
Love it. All right. Thank you, Michael and Will, for joining us today and sharing your insights on Parcel Spend Management 2.0. It's clear that this technology is revolutionizing the way businesses optimize their shipping operations. Check out ProShip and Reveal on LinkedIn to hear all about our next episode. And until then, happy shipping, happy sipping, and cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us on ProShip ParcelCast Unwined. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave us a review. We appreciate your thoughts. Looking for even more strategies and solutions to navigate the shipping landscape? Head over to our website at ProShipInc.com. We're not just another software company. We're dedicated to becoming the perfect fit for your unique needs, helping you ship smarter, not harder. Cheers, and see you next time.